here by myself. There's another person here, but I'm not telling you who it is. Guess what? I was reading the HuffPo. It hurts to read it these days, but I saw this article. It said Pentagon reportedly failed to disclose up to thousands of airstrikes. The Pentagon failed to disclose. Isn't that funny? We're bombing other countries and it's a secret, even to our own people. Isn't that funny? That's funny. And it says the Pentagon has failed to disclose up to thousands of airstrikes the U.S. military carried out over several years in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan. Thousands of airstrikes. What the? At thousands, not 10, not 20, not 100, not 8,000. Thousands of airstrikes. What? In Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. I wonder why those people want to come here. Why are there refugees that Trump is banning? Oh, that's right. Because as a country, we've been bombing them nonstop for the last 15, 16 years. Nonstop bombing them. Okay. Last year, the United States carried out at least 456 airstrikes in Afghanistan that were not documented. Almost 500 airstrikes. Each one of those bombs got to cost a couple $1 million, right? I'm gonna guess. I know I think a Tomahawk costs like $2 million each. So at 500, that's $1 billion right there just in bombs, right? I'm not a math surgeon, so if I did that wrong, I'm sure people will bust my balls for it underneath. The incomplete data could go back to October 2001, according to the military. You mean all the way back to when we started bombing Afghanistan? They've been not reporting the stuff accurately? That's weird. The military's usually always so upfront. Tom Brokaw, they gave him an award, so they love news and reporting and fact-finding. The military. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, guess what? So then I saw this. So just I showed you that just to keep in mind that the American government has been warmongering, killing people at the behest of oil companies and the military-industrial complex and Saudi Arabia for a long, long time. Killing those people. That's why we have refugees. That's why they want to get the F out of their countries, because we keep bombing them. But everybody's upset if you ban them. But nobody seemed that there wasn't any protest when we were bombing them. Still none. Still none. Oh, if only we could bomb them at the airport, then everyone would finally give a shit. So, the reason why I tell you that, just to keep in mind that the government lies all the time about war. Constantly lying. This is not the good war. We're not fighting Nazis. We're going to other people's countries and bombing them. Why? At the behest of Saudi Arabia, at the behest of oil companies, at the behest of the military-industrial complex. That's why. Remember that video we showed you with General Wesley Clark, when he said after 9/11 they already had a plan to invade all these countries. Well, guess what? We bombed them all. So here, I want to bring this up because it says House Armed Services Chair. The House Armed Services Chair says the U.S. needs missiles that can reach Iran and North Korea. No kidding. There's a weapon we don't have yet. There's another weapon that you didn't know we needed. We need, apparently, I guess having nuclear submarines with the power to blow up the whole world isn't enough. You need another missile. So, Representative Mark Thornberry of Texas told reporters that the U.S. should expand its ballistic arsenal to include long-range missiles that could reach Iran and North Korea. All those bases we have in Germany, and now we're going to Poland. In Japan we have bases. South Korea, all the bases we have in Saudi Arabia. I guess none of those bases are good enough. We need more military. If you look at what's happening around the world, I would mention Iran and North Korea. The importance of missiles defense is increasing. Again, we always need to spend even more money. So I'm sure he's not lying, even though I just showed you the story. So again, he's not saying we need to spend more money on schools or healthcare or roads, bridges, libraries, firemen, solar. No, we got to develop a new bomb to kill people. The worst way to spend money. The worst way to create jobs is defense spending, by the way. Actors around the world are building missiles that are harder to stop, he added. So let's spend more money on other missiles from countries that are never going to invade us. Ever. Ever. North Korea, never going to invade us. Iran, never going to invade us. What did we do? We invaded Iraq right next door. We killed everybody. And we've been trying to knock off everybody in Syria, too. We've just been doing it nonstop. Afghanistan, same thing. But we should be worried about them. Iran's gonna attack us. So I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna look up how much money he took from defense contractors, and if there's a missile building factory in that chairman of the, what's his name, Mark Thornberry. See if Mark Thornberry has how many missiles they build in his district, or how much money he's taken. On Friday, the White House announced new sanctions on Iran and put Iran on notice after running a ballistic test. So Iran ran a missile test. We put them on notice because they ran a missile test in their own country. We, by the way, have invaded the rest of the countries around them and are occupying them. But it's okay. Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. Don't worry about any of that. You better watch that you're testing your own missile inside your own country. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif took to Twitter to respond to allegations of aggression from former President Donald Trump. He said that Iran would never use its weapons for anything other than defense, adding, "Let us see if any of those who complain can make that same statement." No, they cannot. No, they cannot say that they'll only use their missiles for defense. Because we started a thing called preemption. The doctrine of preemptive war. Meaning, I'm going to bomb you because I think you want to bomb me later. You can't do that in your real life. You can't just be walking down the street and punch some guy, walk down, what'd you do that for? You looked like you were going to hit me later. But that's what we do. So he's giving a challenge to the United States. Can you say that you'll only use your weapons in defense? Because you've only used your weapons in offense for the last 15, 16 years. And guess what? Here's a little video that they showed on the Huffington Post. They had this video with the first story about the military lying about how many strikes they've done. First of all, why would they lie about how many strikes they've done? Wouldn't they want everybody to be proud of how many strikes they've done? Why would they lie, Mark, you think? Why would they lie? You have any idea?
No idea.
I think it's just habit at this point. Maybe they didn't want people to know just how badly we were blowing the shit out of those people in those countries. That's probably it. So here is, now listen to this. This is a report that get a load of this. This is fishy.
Military exercises get underway in Iran. The Guardians of the Revolution, a branch of the armed forces, say the maneuver show Tehran is prepared to confront the threat posed by what are described as humiliating sanctions imposed by the US on Friday. Tehran carried out a missile test on...
So, the United States put more sanctions, and they call them humiliating sanctions. So they're ramping up war with Iran. They want to... Barack Obama on his way out the door was shooting at the Iranian military boats on their way out the door. So they're ramping up. So again, what General Wesley Clark said in that video seems to be holding out. Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. Lebanon. So let's go back.
January the 29th. On a visit to Japan, U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis is clear.
はじめに日本側から一問。This is the single biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. And I think it is...
We literally invaded the country next door. Killed 500,000 people, 1 million people. Literally. And then we went and did it to Libya. And then we've been funding the terrorists in Syria this whole time. Oh, by the way, Afghanistan. But it's Iran. Those guys are jag-offs. Have you seen the Iranians? They've done stuff. It's just unbelievable. But that we do it all the time. The United States, this isn't... Again, this didn't start with him or the Trump administration. This is what we do.
Wise to make certain that Iran recognizes that what it is doing is getting the attention of a lot of people. And we have a responsibility, along with the rest of the nations that want to maintain stability, to be absolutely clear with Iran.
So we have a responsibility, along with the other nations who want to maintain stability. I don't know if you remember the beginning of this story. Thousands of unrecorded strikes in the Middle East. Thousands! But that's all for stability. We're bombing for stability. You have to remember, we're bombing for stability. This is bullshit, right? This is unbelievable bullshit.
In this regard,
Iran says the sanctions are illegal. Officials say they, in turn, will impose legal restrictions on U.S. individuals and entities, helping what they describe as regional terrorist groups. Those affected can't access the U.S. financial system or deal with U.S. companies.
So we're ramping up the war in Iran. The same people who lied to us ever since probably 2001. So, hopefully people will be aware of it now. Hopefully people will... Because no one even talked about us shooting at the Iranian boats on Barack Obama's way out the door. Nobody even mentioned it. I didn't even... I stumbled on the story about the sanctions that we imposed. Did you know about the sanctions we imposed because of their ballistic tests? I didn't know. Did you know there were thousands of airstrikes that the military hasn't reported? It's so far gone. We live in such a corrupt culture. Just such a killing machine of a culture that rationalizes a bunch of Christians who kill with the most expensive bombs the poorest people in the world. And then we wag our finger at them. That's what Mattis is doing, wagging our finger at those terrorist sponsors. Meanwhile, we're killing 16-year-olds with drones, blowing up wedding parties. Literally... in Iraq, just look at Iraq next door. Fucking. Anyway, there you go. We're getting ready for a war with Iran. Getting ready. So we're not going to have the war with Russia, but we will have a war with Iran. Oh boy.